and so I'm really happy to welcome you at the École Nationale d'Administration, and I would like, first of all, to thank the team at the École Nationale d'Administration for their support, and especially Mr. Thierry Rogelet, with the General Secretary of the École Nationale d'Administration, and his representative in Paris, Mr. Olivier Goffet. I would like to start with the introduction to this conference, and of course greet our colleagues and all the participants. Dear Mr. Ambassador Raúl Verongera from Argentina, dear Mr. Ambassador José Alberto Fabrega Roux from Panama, dear Mr. Ambassador Flavio Mendes from Panama, dear Mr. Ambassador Vinay Mohapatra from India, dear Mr. Ambassador Toumani Jime Diallo from Mali, dear representatives of the governments of Benin, Brazil, Ecuador, Ghana, Philippines, and Vietnam, dear members of the governing board of the ISSN International Center, dear representatives of the ISSN National Centers, dear colleagues and dear guests. On behalf of the ISSN International Center and its staff, I am pleased and honored to welcome you today at the 22nd General Assembly of the member countries of the ISSN network, which is kindly hosted by the École Nationale d'Administration in this magnificent building inspired by the Moorish style and built at the end of the 19th century by Maurice Yvon. It is the second time the ISSN International Center organizes a conference prior to its General Assembly. In 2016, if you remember, we talked about linked data and linked open data. This year, this international conference, which is again sponsored by UNESCO, brings to us great scholars from various countries who promote and study the open access phenomenon, which is causing a disruption in our relation to knowledge and in the way science is disseminated. The topic of this conference was selected by the governors of the ISSN International Center, and with the support of Professor Olivier Martin from Paris Descartes University, we have set up a program that will tackle various issues linked to open science, such as the evolution of open access publishing, the efficiency of public policies regarding open access in universities, the evaluation of the scholarly output, the assessment of academic excellence, and the global spread of open science. Why do the ISSN International Center and the ISSN National Centers care so much about open access publications? As you may know, the ISSN is a standard number that identifies print and online serials and other continuing resources. Since its inception in the 1970s, the ISSN database has been growing constantly, and nowadays it identifies more than 2 million titles of continuing resources. Among these titles, you can find many open access publications which have flourished since the Budapest Open Access Initiative was launched in 2002. With the support of UNESCO, the ISSN network has been operating since 2013 a free online service called the Directory of Open Access Scholarly Resources, which provides identification and description to more than 24,000 open access resources, be they journals, scholarly blogs, monographic series, conference proceedings, and academic repositories. The distribution of titles across academic disciplines shows that social sciences, applied sciences, and medical sciences are predominant within ROAD. Identification and description of these resources are provided by the ISSN National Centers, which tag the records that are to be included in this database. The main contributors are France, India, Indonesia, Brazil, Iran, United States of America, United Kingdom, Poland, Spain, and Turkey. So as you can see, the coverage is really international. But open access resources only represent 1% of the total of the ISSN register records, and numerous online continuing resources are still not identified with an ISSN. Today's conference is webcast live. It should be an incentive for the ISSN national centers and also the ISSN community at large to better take into account this reality of open access. We support better identification because we need better preservation, better evaluation, better dissemination, and this is possible via the ISSN register because it is widely reused by libraries and content providers and platforms. This year, the ISSN International Center renewed its agreement with the Directory of Open Access Journals, which use ISSN data to feed its own database and provide access to quality journals and their content. This year as well, in 2018, we shall have the opportunity to participate in a project that aims at preserving open access journals which do not benefit from long-term preservation because it is too costly. The ISSN network indeed cares about open access publications which belong to the academic record. The primary aim of the ISSN standard was to identify scholarly publications in order to foster scientific cooperation between countries whose governments were opposing on political and diplomatic issues. ROAD pursues this aim by identifying and promoting open access resources which are widely available and support scientific cooperation between different continents. I would like now to introduce the keynote speaker of our conference. Jean-Claude Guédon is one of the initial signatories of the Budapest Open Access Initiative. He is also an expert for UNESCO on non-commercial open access. He also chairs the expert group on the future of scholarly publishing at the European Union. In 2016, I happened to read 2 of his articles. He has many more. One is entitled In Oldenburg's Long Shadow. The other was entitled, Excellence or Quality, Impact of the Current Competition Regime on Science and Scientific Publishing in Latin America and its Implications for Development. Discovering these major pieces of research led me to write to Jean-Claude to invite him to speak at one of the ISSN conferences. So I'm really happy this day has finally dawned, and I'm leaving the floor to Jean-Claude, with whom you will pass the history of open access.
Thank you. I'm going to sit here to manipulate this little machine, if you don't mind.